Welcome back, yogis. We're going to get started today in a reclined position with the block underneath the bottom part of your shoulder blades, block on the lowest setting, or you can have it on the medium setting and put another block under your head, and rest your head towards the ground. Find a comfortable position for the legs, so it can be with the knees splayed out to the side like butterfly legs, or you can tent the knees together, and then bring the elbows up over the head and wrap the elbows. So we're going to stay here for several breaths. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we are going to do today. So I have been working towards some very specific poses that require a lot of openness in the upper back, which I don't really have. So we're going to be doing a lot of repetition today and a lot of holding certain back bends in order to work towards those types of poses. The poses I'm referring to are things like King Pigeon, King Dancer. I just don't quite have the range of motion through my shoulders and my upper back to be able to reach behind and grab a hold of the foot. So that is the goal for today. If you have a really open upper back and open shoulders, this might be pretty easy for you. If you're like me and tight in those areas, this is going to be a very, very challenging class. So as always, please listen to your body. Go nice and slow. So if that means holding a pose longer, that's fine. Transitioning slower, that's fine. Or if you need to do fewer repetitions, that of course is fine as well. So continue to breathe here in this reclined position. Allow the heart to open. Allow the knees to get heavy towards the ground if you happen to have the soles of the feet together and the knees splayed wide. Otherwise, straight legs or tented knees is fine as well. Maybe take the beginning of this class as an opportunity to set your intention or use your breath to clear your mind. Whatever is most important to you and what you hope to gain from this practice. We'll be here for about 5 more breaths. Start to notice that the breath is a little bit longer. Maybe any tightness you felt when you first laid down on the mat is starting to ease. Continue to keep the breath balanced, same amount of time inhaling, same amount of time exhaling. Use that balanced breath to guide your practice. So you're always working with the breath in the lead rather than reacting to it. We'll take a couple more breaths and then we'll slowly start to rise up. You can always come out of this sooner if you need to. And you can also always do this on the floor with a flat back without a block. Lots of options, so listen to your body. Go ahead and start to come out of the pose, walking the feet in, bringing the knees together, and slowly rolling yourself up off the block. You might feel a little stiff, so go nice and slow. And then bring your knees to the chest, gentle hug, give yourself a rock side to side, massage out the upper back. And then we're going to make our way to table. So you can do that by rocking back and forth, or you can just sit up and slowly transition. I added an extra little boat hold there because you do need a lot of core strength for all these back bends. Protect your back. The other thing that I've been working towards is transitioning from dolphin to down dog, trying to build strength for my arm balances. So we're going to do that here in table. So if you'd like, you can wrap your strap around your upper arms like me. And we'll start with a few cat-cow breaths just to ease the back, relax any tension left over from that reclining posture at the beginning. So arm balances and forearm stands, pincha, all that good stuff requires so much upper body strength, and that is where I really struggle. So you have a couple options here. You can do elbow taps on your knees like me. That's plenty challenging. Or you can do them from down dog if you have a lot more upper body strength. Like I said, we're going to do a lot of repetition here. So after that last one, pick up one foot, making it a little bit more challenging, and continue to tap with the elbows, really using the triceps to come back up to table. And then when you're ready, switch sides. You can keep both knees on the ground. This is just a option to level up if you're not quite ready to go to down dog to dolphin. Go back and forth between those poses. Release, come back to table, and you can take the strap off your forearms. And then we're going to walk our fingertips forward into puppy pose. So you should feel a lot of the same sensations that you felt from that reclining goddess pose at the beginning of class. Maybe bring the palms together in prayer and tap the thumbs in between the shoulder blades, sinking the chest towards the ground. If you don't have that openness in your shoulders, you can always rest your forehead on the ground instead and keep the arms out front for support. If you want more, you can always do puppy dog with straight legs. We'll take another breath and then walk the hands back in, tuck the toes, and let's find our first down dog. Feel free to walk the heels out if that feels good for you. Whatever little wiggles or adjustments that you like to make in down dog. Stretch out the heels, the calves, maybe stretch out the bottom of the feet. And then on your next exhale, jump or step forward, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, and release. Inhale, reverse swan dive, reach towards the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. Big inhale, shoulder roll. Exhale, pull the shoulders away from the ears, lengthen the neck. And then grab a hold of your strap, or I'm using a booty band. We are going to use this to keep the knees close together as we flow through our sun salutations. Bring the hands back to your heart and inhale towards the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and jump or step. Might be a little difficult to step with the band. Inhale, let's start with cobra. Exhale, push back to down dog. So I struggle with my jumps from down dog to forward fold. I really have a tendency to splay my knees open, so I'm trying to train them to protect my hips as well as have better form. I'm trying to train them to stay more parallel with each other. So that's what this drill is focused on. On your exhale, hop the feet forward. Inhale, flat back, and release. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Pull the palms together and to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release and jump back. Coming to chaturanga and then rising up to up dog, or you can stick with cobra if you'd prefer. Exhale, down dog, and we'll stay in down dog for several breaths. Lengthening through the tailbone, really focusing on having a flat lower back first. And then as you get warm and as the backs of the legs start to open up, then you can start to straighten. On the next exhale, hop the feet forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, squeeze with the core. Bring the hands to your heart. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release and jump to chaturanga. Inhaling, back bend of your choice. Exhale, use the abs to push the hips back into down dog. So again, if you are finding that the body is not a straight line from your fingertips out through the tailbone, feel free to keep the knees slightly bent. Focus on that piece first. On your next exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. And release. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Grow tall. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, find the flat back again. And then release, fold even closer, and jump back. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. And breathe. Find your center as we start to build some heat in our sun salutation A, sun A. One more breath. And on your next exhale, jump the feet forward or step. Just remove the strap or the band if you're stepping. And then rise up, reverse swan dive, find mountain. Exhale, hands to your heart. Now let's go ahead and take that band or strap off and come back to the top of your mat, hands at your heart center. Inhale, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. And release, jump or step. And you can take a vinyasa here or you can go straight to down dog. We're going to do more upper body work. So grab your strap again, wrap it around your upper arms. And this time we're going to level up again. So if those elbow taps in table were challenging enough for you, you can stick there. Or you can come to down dog. And we're going to try those elbow taps from down dog to dolphin. And then back up. That's the hard part. And you know what? That's really normal. If you can build strength by controlling your movement on the way down, it might not be possible for you to make it back up yet using both elbows at the same time, but you will build that strength the more you can control the elbow tap dropping to the ground. Last time. And then soften the knees. Release the strap. Put it over to the side. And grab your blocks, both blocks. We're going to find puppy again, but this time going a little bit deeper, using your blocks to have more range of motion in the shoulders and the upper back. You can use the blocks on whatever setting works for you, or you can skip them all together and just keep the hands on the ground, dropping the chest towards the ground, hips right over the knees. Now, if you liked that thumb tap, transition the blocks underneath the elbows, bring the palms together and tap the thumbs in between the shoulder blades. nice tricep stretch at the same time as opening the chest and opening up the upper back. Go ahead and release. Put the blocks off to the side and find down dog again. On your exhale, jump or step the feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, hands to your heart. Big shoulder roll again. Just an opportunity for an extra breath. Now our sun bees. So chair first, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, use the abs, down dog. Inhale, one foot comes through, rise up, warrior one, all on one breath. And then we're going to adjust the traditional sun bee here. Take a few extra breaths, wrap the hands around the elbows, slight back bend, and then release, flowing through your vinyasa, making your way to the other side. Finding warrior one on the other side. And again, traditionally, one single breath up and then flow down on the exhale, but we're going to stay here for an extra breath or two. Wrap the hands around the elbows, pull the elbows behind the ears, and then go ahead and release. Flow through your vinyasa. Make your way back to down dog. And we will stay in down dog. Rest, recover, catch your breath. Who are we kidding? Sun bees are so hard. You have to have an opportunity to catch your breath. On your next exhale, jump the feet back to the hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, hips sink down and back, chair pose. And then rise up, hands to your heart. Again, inhale, chair. Squeeze the abs, don't overarch the back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. And release, jump or step, chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, pick one foot up and step it forward, warrior one. Wrap the hands around the elbows and pull the upper arms behind your ears, opening up the heart, stretching out the shoulders, and then release. Inhale to plank and flow through your vinyasa. Opposite side from down dog. Bring that foot through. Rise up, find warrior one. Wrap the hands around the elbows and pull the elbows back. Slight back bend, but making sure you're not overarching in the lower back. Release the elbows, hands to the ground, and flow through your vinyasa. Again, finding peace and rest in down dog. We'll be here for just a few breaths. On your next exhale, jump or step the feet forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the upper back to lift the hands in chair. And then rise up to standing, hands to your heart. Inhale, chair. So you're not using the shoulders necessarily to lift the hands, really engaging the upper back. Fold, and then half lift. Exhale, flow through your vinyasa, making your way to down dog. And then stepping one foot through. Warrior one. Wrap the elbows, open the heart, sink deep into that front leg, and then release and hands come to the ground, step to plank, elbows right by your sides as you flow through chaturanga, and then rise up, back bend, down dog. Opposite side, bring that foot through, warrior one first, and then wrap the hands, and open up the front of the body. You're opening up the hip flexor of that back leg. You're opening up the abdomen, the heart, the shoulders, everything. Go ahead and release and step back to plank. Flow through your vinyasa and find rest. Find a break. Catch your breath. Down dog. One more breath. And on the exhale, we'll go ahead and jump the feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And then sink the hips down and back. Knees stay squeezing together. Reach for the sky. And then rise up, mountain. Inhale, chair. I think we have one more round. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. And jump or step, chaturanga, cobra or up dog. And then using the abs to transition to down dog. Inhale, step one foot through in between the hands, rise up, warrior one. Open the heart. Start to notice your back bend can get a little bit deeper. And then release and step to plank, flow through your vinyasa again. You should be feeling nice and toasty and warm. Maybe a little sweaty. Warrior one on the other side. Rise up, wrap the elbows. Draw the forearms way behind your head. You should be able to see your ears past your biceps and triceps. Release and flow through your vinyasa. Make your way back to down dog and breathe. Long, deep, controlled breaths. Again, making sure that the breath is driving the practice, not the other way around. On your next exhale, jump forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. And then rise up to standing, hands to your heart. If you're anything like me, you need a little towel time. If not, you can stay in mountain, take a few shoulder rolls, really lengthening out the sides of the neck, focusing on good posture, squeezing the shoulder blades down the back, belly button towards the spine. And then let's all find that prayer pose and find your balance on one side. Pick up one foot and we will find tree. So bring the knee wide out to the side. Sole of the foot can be at the calf or the inner thigh. Focusing on pulling the hips forward, drawing the knee back, opening up that hip. And of course, using tree is a great opportunity for a little bit of meditation. Go ahead and take the sole of the foot and cross it over your standing knee and sit back into a one-legged chair. If you have flying pigeon in your practice and you want to hop right into it, pun intended, feel free. Otherwise, we'll rise back up and kick the floating foot behind you, finding warrior three. Hips are square to the ground. Flex the foot of the back foot, roll the toes to the ground, and then gently release your hands to the ground, and we'll take a few hop ups into handstand. Again, if you have handstand already in your practice and you feel comfortable hopping up, that's great. Otherwise, just take a few jumps, see how it feels, maybe try to get some hang time, and then make your way back to down dog. We will be working on some inversions at the end, so lots of opportunity for that. Pick up that same foot that was just floating and find split down dog, letting the hips roll open this time, bending the knee, and then extend back up, square the hips, and step that floating foot to the outside edge of the mat, so both hands are on the inside of the foot. Drop the back knee to the ground, and we'll find lizard pose. Now, depending on the flexibility of that back leg, maybe you'll stay up on the hands, maybe you want to come onto the forearms, or maybe you want to put the forearms on a block. Lots of options here for you. What I do want you to think about doing is having a nice long spine from the tailbone out through the crown of the head. If you'd like to add more, go ahead and twist towards that front leg. The weight is on the outside edge of the foot. And then if you want even more, maybe pick up the back leg for a quad stretch. And you can play with this here by pulling the foot in towards the hip for more of a quad stretch, or pushing that back foot into the hand for more of a back bend and heart opener. Gently release, coming back to lizard, rolling the front knee back up on top of the ankle, and then stepping back, split down dog, and then release the floating foot to the ground. Shift forward to plank and slowly lower down, resting on your belly, and then tenting the fingertips out to the side, rising up, straightening the arms as much as you can for cobra. Really focusing again on those heart openers and back bends today. Gently roll yourself back down. Hands come underneath the elbows and rise up to down dog. Same side here. Pick up that foot again, roll the hips open, but this time let the foot start to get really heavy, coming into wild thing. Opening up the hip, the abs, the chest, the shoulder, and then on an exhale, slowly coming back to split down dog. Hips are square this time. On an exhale, you're going to bring the shin through. So now we're going to work towards our King Pigeon, a little at a time. So staying upright to begin with, allowing the hips to sink evenly towards the ground, and then folding forward out over that front shin. Now, if you are either newer to yoga or you know you have knee problems, flip over onto your back and just do reclined pigeon. You'll get the same hip opener here. You won't get some of the back bends that we'll work on, but it's much safer for your knee. Go ahead and rise back up to upright. If you would like to move on and start to focus on that back bend, we'll start by grabbing a hold of the back foot with one hand. Start to pull the heel towards the hip, maybe flip your grip, pushing on the top of the foot, gently pushing the heel closer to the hip, really listening to your body. Make sure that you're not going too far for the sake of that challenge. And then we're going to transition to mermaid. So bring the toes into the nook of your elbow, and then reach up with the opposite hand, binding behind your head, keeping the chest pointed forwards. Really, really deep heart opener there. And then gently release. Find split down dog one more time. Roll the hips open. Maybe give yourself a couple of hip circles if that feels good. I like to do it both with a bent knee and a straight leg. Straight leg is obviously much more challenging. And then on your next exhale, we're going to step that floating leg through again to try our King Pigeon. So we did a couple of warm-up pigeon variations. If you have King Pigeon and you can flip your grip and reach over the head, that's great. If you're like me and you need the strap, hook your strap around your foot, elbows towards the sky, and then just walk your hands, tick-tock them towards the foot. Make sure you can breathe. With some of these more challenging poses, you want to make sure you can always breathe through them. If you feel like your breathing is not steady or you're holding your breath, you need to back off. Wherever you're at, go ahead and release. Tuck the toes of the back foot and just step to down dog. Maybe give yourself a few knee shakes. And then we're going to take that to the other side. So on your next exhale, jump or step, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Release forward. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, squeeze with the abs as though there's an imaginary string from your hands to your belly button, and that's what's bringing your hands back to your heart center. Find your balance on the other side and pick up the floating leg, squeezing with the core to bring it forward, and then swinging the knee out to the side, finding tree pose. Sole of the foot comes to the inner thigh or the inner calf. Focus on pushing the hips into an imaginary wall in front of you, which will at the same time gently ease the knee open so that you're all in one plane. You can see from my body, you can't see the floating leg at all because it's nice and flat and in the same plane as my hips. Go ahead and release, crossing the ankle over the standing knee, sitting back into that one-legged chair. Again, flying pigeon is an option here if you have that in your practice. Otherwise, just focusing on opening up the hip of that floating leg. Gently release and kick that foot behind you, finding warrior 3. Nice flat body, keep the hips square. Big toe of the floating leg rolling towards the ground. Maybe even picture rolling that big toe up towards the sky. That will definitely help square the hips. And then we're going to take those same handstand hops on the other side. It's really important to try your hops on both legs. You might be surprised. The leg that you're not as comfortable with might actually be your stronger leg. You never know. Once you've taken your hops, or if you're in handstand, gently come back to down dog. Inhale that same foot up, open up the hips, kneecap pointed straight towards the sky. And then extend. Exhale, sweep the shin through for pigeon. I apologize, I didn't do lizard first on this side, but we will do it. So it'll just feel really easy after the pigeon. So like we did on the other side, let's focus first on keeping both hips equidistant from the ground and then fold out over that front shin. If you have knee problems, again, please feel free to flip over onto your back and do recline pigeon instead. Now, for some of you, this might be easier. You might have more openness in the glute and the hip of that front leg. And maybe you're like me and you really struggle with opening up the hip flexor of the back leg, the quad, and of course the back bend. So we'll start with this, but then go ahead and come back up to upright. Inhale, split down dog, release that foot. Shift forward to plank, slowly lower. And this time we'll take Sphinx. In Sphinx pose, really engage the abs. Try to pull the hips forward as though you were trying to slide the mat forward. And then if you still feel comfortable, you can push into the hands and come into a deeper back bend. Release back down, Sphinx. And then exhale, make your way back to down dog. Same side, pick up that foot, open up the hip, let the foot start to get heavy and gently drop to the ground for Wild Thing, pressing the hips high, allowing the floating hand to drop heavy towards the ground. And then gently come back to split down dog. On your exhale, bring the shin through again. So like I was saying before, maybe getting into a more challenging version of pigeon isn't about the flexibility in the glute. Maybe for you, you need to work on these next few poses. So pick up that back foot, grabbing a hold with the hand, starting with just one hand, focusing first on opening up the quad by pushing the heel closer to your hip. Continue to try to keep both shoulders square to the front of your mat. So not only are you getting a really intense quad stretch, but you'll also feel a great stretch through the chest and the shoulder. And then release that, walk the toes into the nook of the elbow, and rise up and bind for mermaid. Now this is helping you get comfortable with the unsupported part of King Pigeon, right? With a quad stretch, you still have one hand on the ground, so you have a little bit of support, but in King Pigeon, there's no support. Gently release, pick that foot up, kick it back, split down dog, taking a few hip circles if that feels good. You know what is next. So take as much time here as you need to get the hip ready for King Pigeon. And then exhale, bring the shin through. Grab your strap if you need it, hooking it onto the back foot. And then bringing the elbows towards the sky, hands behind your head, walking the hands down the strap as much as you can. And again, making sure that you breathe. So for me, I feel this the most in my upper body. You can see my elbows are stacked right on top of my shoulders instead of having the flexibility to bring the elbows farther behind my head. So that's what I'm working on. That's what we discussed at the very beginning. And really, those stretches with the block, they're probably the best, honestly. Wherever you are, gently release, come back to split down dog. And oh yeah, lizard pose. It's right about now that it's dawning on me what I missed. So let's take a vinyasa while I figure it out. Inhale, same side, foot rises up. Exhale, bring it through. Soften the back knee. Focus on having a nice flat line from your knee out through the crown of your head, coming down onto the elbows if you have that range of motion, but making sure that you're not collapsing towards the ground. So there's not too much rounding in the spine in order to drop the elbows to the ground. We still want that nice flat back. If you'd like, go ahead and start to twist towards that front knee, bringing the weight onto the outside edge of the foot, rolling the shoulders open, and then maybe grabbing a hold of that back foot, playing with either the quad stretch or the back bend and the heart opener. And now that you've done pigeon first on the other side, you already know where your body is tight and what you need to focus on. Go ahead and release, slowly make your way first to lizard and then back to down dog. Now we are going to do a few drills for some inversions. So if you feel really, really comfortable in headstand and in pincha or forearm stand, feel free to stay in the center of your mat, or you can shift over to a wall like I'm doing. We're going to start in dolphin pose. So wrap the hands around the elbows, make sure they are right underneath the shoulders. Find dolphin, walk the toes in just a little bit, and then come up into pincha. Now, using the wall helps you keep your balance as you slowly come down, tap the head on the ground, and then rise back up. Slowly down, tap the head, rise back up. Really, really challenging for the shoulders. Do it as many times as you can. We're going to do it, I think, 3 to 5 times. If you want to pause and do it more or practice after our class together, that's a great option as well. Wherever you are at, try to find your balance in Pincha for a moment and then gently come back down and push back to down dog. We're not going to use the wall right away, so you can come back away from the wall, find down dog, and then when you're ready, soften the knees to the ground, push back to child's pose. Take a few moments to breathe. Release any tension in the shoulders. So if you'd prefer, you can wrap the hands around your heels or your hips instead of having them extended out in front of you. One more breath. Breathe into the back. That should also feel really good after all of our back bending from pigeon. And then come back up. Drop the elbows to the ground, and we will find dolphin one more time. Breathe in dolphin. Nice straight line from the elbows to the hips, and then start to walk the toes in just a little bit. Pick up one foot. Try to create that straight line so you're perpendicular with the ground. And then release. Other leg rises up. Really challenging the strength of your shoulders here. Building the strength and the stamina to be able to hold Pincha. And then release, push back to child's pose. Take a breather before we come up and try it again. Feel the breath all in the back body, expanding the back of the rib cage, expanding the lower back. And then you have a couple of options here. You can put the strap around your upper arms again to help keep your elbows underneath your shoulders for support, or you can grab a block and put it underneath your feet, and we're going to try to press up to Pincha. So instead of kicking and trying to find our balance, we're going to use the extra height of that block to try to slowly and with control find our balance in Pincha. Now, if this is not in your practice, but headstand is, that's an option. Or if you know that pressing is not in your practice, you can just work with your split dolphin. Take as many breaks here as you need. Press pause. Pressing up to Pincha is still really, really hard for me. So I definitely needed a couple of breaks. The key here is the repetition. The key is to not give up. Try it. Try it again. And then eventually you just might find a little bit of hang time. And even if it's not a lot of hang time, it's still something to be proud of. Wherever you are, maybe you've been holding steady for the last 10 breaths. Maybe you've been doing hops. Maybe you've been practicing those split dolphins. Let's all come to child's pose. Let's breathe. Release the shoulders. Go ahead and walk the hands over to one side. Stretch out one side. And then walk them over to the other, lengthening through the side body. Slowing the breath. Inversions, especially Pincha and handstand, are a great way to heat up the body really quickly. You'll start to feel your blood pumping. So unfortunately, we have two sides. So we are going to try pressing up on the other side. And just like I talked about before with your handstand hops, you might find one side is stronger than the other. And it might not be the side that you expected. Go slow, press, maybe find some hang time, maybe not. It's all good. Press pause if you'd like. Feel free to find child's pose again. We've got one more drill for Pincha. So I still really struggle with keeping my palms on the ground and my forearms even to each other. Tightness in the shoulders, that's what we've been working on this whole class, so we're going to keep working on it. taking the block, putting it in between the hands, taking the strap around the upper arms, and that's going to help frame and create those parallel forearms. And that's your more traditional pincha as opposed to interlocking the fingers, which is really used more for headstand. If this is too much and your shoulders are just exhausted, feel free to stay in dolphin, or you can say, screw it, I'm going to stay in child's pose. It's all good. The key is to try again. If you found a little hang time on one side, or if you're still up there, you can stay up. But if you found a little hang time on one side and you came down, let's try it on the other side. Hop. Maybe you can press from the floor. It's all good. Just try to get a little bit upside down. And for those of you who are in dolphin, you are still technically upside down. Your hips are over your heart. You're still getting all the benefits. Wherever you are, go ahead and come back down. We are going to transition next to handstand. So take a moment, mentally prepare, relax in child's pose if you'd like. Take a couple of shoulder rolls if that feels good. This is just a few moments of you time. So to practice the press for handstand, plant the palms on the ground and push up into a forward fold on your toes. We'll do that a couple of times, shifting forward as much as you can, trying to get the hips on top of the shoulders, shoulders on top of the wrists. If you have any stress at all in your wrist, feel free to skip this, or you can also always grab some weights or something to keep your wrist in alignment. And then let's take that same drill and add a little elevation. So you can grab your wheel or a yoga ball. A yoga ball is going to be much, much easier. Either way, shins are on top. Find plank. And then exhale, curl up, stack the hips over the shoulders, over the wrists, and back to plank. Really use the core strength to start to pull up and find that alignment. Feel free to do that one or two more times and then put the wheel to the side and we'll find hero's pose. Always the option to pause whenever you need to. So now coming into handstand, so giving yourself a little bit of shoulder shake, lengthen out the neck, and then come to table. We'll take a few ab contractions. So coming into cat, really squeezing with the abs to create that curve in the spine, pushing through the shoulder blades, creating the strength for handstand. And then when you're ready, plant the palms right underneath the shoulders and maybe give yourself a hop up using the wall. No shame whatsoever using the wall. Find that balance. Find what it feels like to have a little bit of hang time, even if you have to use the wall to get there. Take another break if you need it. Relax the shoulders. All these inversion poses will rain absolute hell on your upper back and your shoulders if you don't listen to your body. So take as many breaks as you need to, as many shakes, as many stretches as you need to, and then let's try to hop it up again. If you are just hanging out in handstand, having a grand old time, I am so proud of you. Otherwise, for those of us who need to practice the hops, make sure you're doing so on either side. Really engaging the abs, pushing away from the floor, and then taking a break when you need it. Wherever you are with your practice, go ahead and come back to seated. And then we are going to give our wrists a little love. So take one forearm on the ground, palm up, and take your knee and just massage into the forearm, giving a little bit of love to the wrist and your forearm muscle. And then gently switch sides, forearm on the ground, opposite knee, small circles, kneading out the wrist, making sure they stay happy. If you hurt your wrists in these inversions, you'll hurt your whole practice. So there's really no point in doing that. Please, please make sure you listen to your wrists, listen to your body. Let's go ahead and cross the ankles, roll back into boat pose, and then slowly roll down with just the upper body, tap the shoulders, and then lower the feet, hollow body hold. Bring the knees to the chest. Give yourself a rock side to side. Give yourself a hug. That same hollow body hold is what you should be feeling in handstand. Go ahead and release the knees to one side. Gaze to the other side. Winding our practice down. In this twist, every time you exhale, really engage the abs, and that will help support your spine, and you'll actually notice you twist a little bit further. If you already have a lot of range of motion in your twist, you can try extending the legs, grabbing a hold of the big toes with that hand. So your big toes are about on the same plane as your shoulder. It's quite a deep hamstring and outer hip stretch if you are not used to that. Go ahead and soften the knees, and on an exhale, twist to the other side. Again, twisting all the way through the spine, so looking in the opposite direction from your knees. Exhaling, squeezing with the abs, supporting your spine, creating more availability, range of motion to twist. And then adding the extension in the legs if that feels good. If you like that added intensity for your twist. One more breath. And then soften the knees, and on an exhale, use your core to bring the knees back to center. And then we're going to give our lower back some love, so you can give a few circles with the knees. They can be in the same direction, or you can do like I am, circling your knees away from each other and then back together. Whether the knees are together or if you're doing that split, go the opposite direction. Take a few more circles in the opposite direction. And then come back to center. Give yourself one final hug. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Knees towards the forehead. And then release. Relax. Recover. Restore. So find Shavasana. Now, in Shavasana, we do a variety of different meditation techniques, scanning the body, breathing. I want you to really focus on letting go. When you do yoga drills and you're working towards a more challenging pose, I think it's very easy to become critical of yourself and say, well, I should have tried a little harder here, or if I had just had my alignment there. You know what? None of that matters. You did exactly what you were supposed to do in the moment today. You honored your body. You challenged yourself. You became better in a variety of different poses. But most importantly, you listened and you were okay with stopping if you needed to. That's what I want you to focus on in Shavasana. Let's go ahead and release any critical thoughts. You did an amazing job today. It was a very, very challenging class. A lot of repetition, a lot of strength building, a lot of challenging peak poses. And you handled it like a boss. So, now that you've released any of that criticism, I want you to melt in peace in Shavasana. The only muscle that might be slightly contracted are your facial muscles, creating a small smile. Otherwise, everything is completely relaxed, completely melting into the floor. You did what you needed to do today. You did an amazing job. We will be here for several more breaths because you have earned a nice, long, and luxurious Shavasana. Please feel free to stay even longer than when I close us out. Again, relax, rest, recover, restore. If you feel ready to start moving again, give yourself some nice big ankle and wrist circles, flexing and pointing. Maybe walk the feet in and windshield wiper the knees and the forearms in opposite directions, just slowly reawakening the body. You can always stay in Shavasana. Otherwise, go ahead and make your way up to a seated position. Maybe rolling back and forth, or maybe rolling over to one side and gently pushing up. Thank you so much for sharing this very challenging practice with me. You did an amazing job. Namaste.